A $700 AI cat flap. What are the 4 Fs to survive as filmmakers and VFX artists in 2026? And the one button movie is still a lie. Welcome to the CG Pro Show, where we're kicking off 2026 by reality checking the AI hype. Join myself, Ed Dawson-Taylor, and Ben Hansford, a USC professor and AI old head, as we dissect the chaos of 2025 and why finishing is still the most valuable and rarest skill sets in Hollywood today. In today's show, we broke down 2025 in CG and AI and showed some cool cutting-edge AI techniques while discussing the future. On the menu today, cutting-edge demos including generative Gaussian splatting in Comfy UI and Comfy UI in Houdini, the 2025 post-mortem, what was invented and hot last year, Ben's 4 Fs to thrive, the traits you need to survive today. Stop waiting for a magic button and join us to start building. This is the Filmmakers Survival Guide for 2026.
Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Doing great. And
Nice.
a pleasure to have you on the show. Ben is a director and a professor of AI at USC. And it's a real pleasure to have you on the show today, Ben. I'm excited to dig in.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Super excited to be here. I know I mentioned this to you earlier, but I grew up on CG Pro, so this is awesome.
Oh, it was an honor. Thank you. Very humbling. I'm blushing through the camera. Yeah, pleasure to have you on. And our co-host, Mr. Andy Cochran, is not with us today. Something came up. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today, but he'll be back on our next episode. So we can jump in and get started with the show.
Love it. Excited.
So our first section is, let me get a couple things arranged here. Our very first section of the show is, and one of my instant realizations so far with Andy not being on the show is that we do not have our sound effects wizard. We don't have a sound effects board or anything yet. So Andy's been doing that with his,
I can
with his
be most of those, Ed. Like I think maybe like a DJ can kick us off.
All right, I love it. I love it. You got the job, Andy. Sorry,
Fired.
you've been demoted. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share. So this is our crazy corner. We always share something at the beginning that's a little bit silly, and here we go. This is this week's one. It is Only Cat, a cat flap which detects whether your pet has prey in its mouth and then decides whether or not it's going to let it in, or essentially keeps it out if it has anything with it. So AI, its fullest expression, I think, so far. You can.
Also, Ed, what an incredible commentary on humanity that like we have enough people with enough cats bringing in enough dead birds that someone built a little AI reader for that. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what AI was made for, right? And yeah, absolutely. This is a bigger problem than some other things that probably could use the cycles.
Yeah.
But AI cat flap, it's machine vision in its most expressive form. It will pick up your cat or your dog. A cat, because it's called Only Cat, which is an interesting name in and of itself.
Yeah.
Not a website for cats to do dances on without any rules. It is,
Which probably would make more money, Ed, if we're being honest right now.
it would.
Only Cats, you'd probably make a little bit more than The Door.
Do not confuse this with onlycats.com. That is a whole different website. Up to you whether or not you go there. But yeah, so this is where we're at in 2026. We have a AI cat flap, and
Can I give you a really weird? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but can I give you a really weird take on this?
Yeah.
Ed, have you built anything with Raspberry Pi yet?
In the past, yeah, not for a while.
Yeah. This whole like Raspberry Pi 5 and the sort of AI capabilities inside of Raspberry Pi 5 is like, I'm looking at this going like, could I build this?
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it's like, oh, this will be another cool thing about 2026 is like, maybe they're not all cat flaps, but just the ability for everyone to use the new Pi 5 and build something that's got a little bit of AI inside of it. I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool actually.
Totally, yeah. I mean, this probably started as something like that, I would imagine, and they got enough traction to get it to this point where it's on your Apple Watch, and it got pretty advanced by the looks of
Yep,
it. But
it's
yeah,
great.
totally. And it could be yours for I can't find the price now, but something like $500. So if you
Oh,
care,
stop. Really?
yeah, it's
Woo.
expensive. $500 cat flap. I think anyway. It's probably on the store button if I click there. But I should probably move on. But the cat flap, there's all sorts of stuff you can buy for it too. You can buy little collars. You can buy like little bits for your cat flap. It doesn't say how much the actual cat flap is though. Or is it? I think it was $500. Here it is. Still not showing me the price.
I was about to say,
Means it's
adjusting the
expensive.
price.
Adjusting the price live
Yeah.
in real time.
Checking where your VPN is from. Do they have big cat problems where you're from?
That's right. In Egypt, this is going to be super expensive, or maybe that ship has sailed. Anyway, they're expensive. Only cat.
Only cats.
That is the gist of it. Go get one, and if you do, let us know. Send us a message about your only cat
Yeah.
flap. We'd love to
Get
hear
that
from you.
referral. Yeah.
Yeah, we do not get affiliate commissions from OnlyCat yet, although we'll see how popular they are, and then I might go ask them for that. So that was our first crazy corner of the year.
Crazy.
Was OnlyCat. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy year, judging by that alone. Our next section and normal sound effect is our guest speaker quick interview.
Hey.
Ben, you are our sound effects department and our special guest this week. So thank you for introducing yourself with the horn
Womp, womp, womp.
Love it, man. Andy, going to be out of a job wherever you are. So just a short interview with you. This is what we do next.
Yeah. Great.
So name and occupation.
Yeah, my name's Ben Hansford. I am a director by trade. I actually came up with Andy Cochran, which was wonderful. I direct predominantly commercials, and over the last 4 years, I just started messing around. 5 years now, so I'd been messing around with AI, and realized it was sort of clearly going to be a massive part of my future, and also started teaching AI at USC. So I began the AI and machine learning program at USC. So that was also really fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about that, seeing as we have slightly longer this week to
for sure.
dig into that. What do you do in your teaching?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go way back. I'll go back. It's hilarious because I've had multiple students refer to me as an old head because I've been in AI for greater than 3 years. So they're
Right.
like, "Oh, you're an AI old head," which is an amazing term to be called. Yeah, so I started using AI in literally everything I was doing. So it like goes back to like pre Dali, like just I was out there on Hugging Face and GitHub. I burned through two computers, just getting massive viruses, and but I began integrating it into everything I was doing, which was really fun. So like every commercial treatment I was writing, I was starting to integrate AI, or I was using it for like really simple VFX adjustments. I'd come up, sort of alongside Andy. We were doing a lot of like animation and then animation and VFX, and then kind of going back and forth. And so started winning more jobs, and then the wonderful people at USC. This incredible cat. His name's John Brennan.
Oh
He
yeah,
kind of
John's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, dude. One of the greatest. He kind of duped me into like teaching a little bit at USC. So I got my feet wet, and then one of the people there, Everett, he noticed all this weird AI stuff that I was bringing into my freshman directing class. And it was super fun for me because the freshmen, they were beginning to win all the little internal awards at USC because they could do, whether it was like better treatments or better previs or better, like they were getting better faster. And then Everett conned me into teaching AI, and I absolutely love it. It's like
early on too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. So it's really, it's actually been around longer than even the school knew it had been around, which was fantastic. It's gone through a lot of names. For a little while, it was funny. We were like Fight Club. Like they wouldn't, because the strikes were coming up, so they didn't want to put the word AI next to anything. So we couldn't call it AI. We literally had class in the basement computer center of the Spielberg building.
Right.
So, but I'll tell you, those were some of the best, those were some of the best classes. Was just everyone who was there was like, everything was new, everything was untouched, everything was like an opportunity. People be bringing in weird projects. Students started winning, multiple students, won festivals that are Academy Award nominating festival. Like it was just incredible. It was a really killer time, and then that's just grown from there.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been around for a while, right? So like going
yeah.
back to my degree, I had a module that was called AI. I
Oh,
had a unit in AI in '98, back in the day.
where was
Uh,
that, Ed?
it was a college in the UK called Bristol University,
Okay.
and it was a big engineering university, and I did computer science, and
Oh, right.
I I met Maya too at that college, and that's
Okay.
what kind of got me into 3D. Although I became a software engineer for a number of years,
Oh,
and
cool.
then jumped into VFX about 20 years ago. But it was AI was present there. Even quantum computing started to come in at that moment too, which still isn't really out yet.
Yeah.
25 years later. Some of those things have conceptually been around for a lot longer too. AI's been around for a really long time,
Mm.
going back past Turing years, even before that, back to people trying to automate things, trying to get machines to do things for us, and it's got really sophisticated this year. So
Yeah.
now we're at that moment where we're going to do our year in review in a second, but we're
Okay.
at that kind of crazy moment where certain things have really matured to this point where we can do
Yeah.
quite extraordinary stuff. So back to your interview. Thank you for stating your name and occupation. What is one thing on your not on your LinkedIn that you think is
Mm.
cool about you?
Oh, what a killer question. So I'm terrible on LinkedIn, so that's going to get easy just because
Cool.
I don't think there's anything important about me on LinkedIn. As a
Yeah.
director, luckily, we don't have to do much there. Um, what is cool about me? God, what is cool? Man, I know you
Surfing?
can't pass on this show, but yeah, I guess, what I think one thing that's really neat is I think I'm one of the luckiest people you know. Is that a thing? Is that like,
Sure.
yeah, I'm really fortunate. I find myself accidentally in the right place at the right time with the right friends. I have a happy, healthy family. I live here in LA. I don't know. I just tend to find myself as the luckiest person I know, if that counts.
Does count. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's great to do what you love and love what you do more importantly.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
yeah,
and
that
also I feel like, you were mentioning like, taking an AI class in 98. I do feel like we are also fortunate enough to be sort of living in the time of science fiction.
yeah,
That sort of, I think it's William Gibson who talks about like the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed.
right.
And, whether it was like Ray Kurzweil with his AI predictions or Gibson with, hacking and on cyberspace and on meat space and metaverse. And I feel like we're now all living that. And we can all now kind of engage with it, which is another, maybe not on my LinkedIn, but I find incredibly cool. It's like cat doors. You show, you got some cat door, and my brain is instantly looking. We built this little Raspberry Pi 5, with a WhisperNet hat that's got, runs a local AI that's completely separated from the internet. And my brain now can at least start working on my version of only cat door. Like I can
Right.
start to think about like, oh, how would you do that? And it's not a million miles. It's not even 100 miles away. It's like a mile away from something we could actually do.
Maybe you could make a only cat hacking tool for rats. So
Yes. It's funny. I'll bet you we'd make way more money just making onlycats.com. I think
you
whatever
would.
that little group is, they're going to be willing to pay through the roof for just the right AI content. And yeah.
just because I'm curious. It does exist already,
It does
unfortunately.
exist. Yeah, darn it.
It does exist. I, whatever. Like, I worked this out a little while ago that whatever thing you think of that you think's really, really, really out there or really crazy
Mm,
or really messed up or whatever, chances are that someone's already done it, and that's got even easier to detect,
yeah.
but I think more true over time. So onlycats.com,
The
boom.
way it's just too fat for that box. Ooh, saucy.
Only cats coming soon. So there's basically nothing here. There's no menu. There's just a cat in a very too
Oh,
small of a box. That's it.
oh, and it just says meow, right?
Yeah.
That's just enough said. Enough said.
Yep. There you have it. Well, damn. Okay, so there's our 2026 business out the window. But we'll keep going. Maybe we'll get there quicker, and we'll buy the domain from them or something.
Mm,
So um, into our 2025 retrospective.
mm.
Can we get a little klaxon or a horn to ring that one in? Love it. And he's getting nervous for his job. So some of the things that stood out to me in 2025, because there was a lot happened. A lot of these things we're talking about matured on their way towards 2025. But 2025 was a pretty big year. One
Yeah.
of the big things was Nano Banana and Nano Banana
Mm,
Pro. That
mm.
in image terms has seen great ability to be able to edit, prompt adherence, taking notes properly, being able to edit your imagery really well. So that I think that whole grouping of how AI has matured through other things like Quen, image edit, and some of the other models, even Kling and its new video to video edit,
Yeah.
Kling O1, which is
Yeah.
pretty damn good. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, that was one category of things which I think got significantly better.
Yeah, I felt like watching Nano Banana happen was fantastic. I mean, I will say to me, I'm more impressed with the local side AI. I find I'll steal the term in shitification from Cory Doctorow and just say that like as much as I love like I was really fortunate. The VO team they backed a lot of my class, which was fantastic. The Google, so the
Yeah,
Google suite, the Flow suite. And so watching that to me was such a massive door opener for students who, I'm sure you run into this, is that you run into too many people who go, "Oh, I'm not technical."
yeah,
And to me that's like that's the starting point for then AI is for you. Like for everyone who's like I'm not technical, AI is the perfect tool for you.
yeah,
And but yeah, watching Nano Banana, watching that really rapid image editing, watching certain students just like jump on it with both feet. Ed, we had one student, Shannon Morales. She's just a stud, and she would concoct these projects, like and I teach little segments on like here's where I think we can use AI for previs, for storyboarding, for animation, for visual effects, for and while I was teaching sort of visual effects and the ability to do set extension, Shannon within days had created a short film in her crappy little mid Wilshire apartment on the patio, only she set extended everything beyond her patio to be the French Riviera. So it was just these like gorgeous, lavish shots of her sitting on her patio, sipping champagne, and then it would cut to a reverse, and the reverse, for her was La Cienega, but she just made it look like the beach of the Riviera, and just watching those kind of things happen that rapidly, watching certain people just be able to instantly, just watching them get unlocked, like it was that,
yeah.
the scene from The Matrix where he just knows kung fu. It was like, yes, Shannon now instantly gets VFX set extensions.
Yeah, it's and before that, going back not all that far, it was just code. That's the only way you could
Yeah.
access it. And then seeing things like Comfy emerge, and those are still here and pushing, and we're seeing more and more. The other thing was seeing more and more node tools appear as some might say competition, but just really exploration of the space. Something that VFX people are very familiar with is nodes and workflow and process chains that we've seen more growth in that. I'm seeing Weavy go from 0 to being bought by Figma for 200 million in 1 year. That type of thing. It's obvious the demand there, and then seeing a lot of the others, Free Pick with their node system and more, and Comfy improving as well.
I'm such a massive fan of Comfy. And I still to this day think the greatest unlock in Comfy is just the ability to send someone an image, and that image is the workflow.
Right.
So that ability for us to communicate now in this super succinct coded language that is the visual that you wanted. I just love that. I just think it was such a baller move.
Absolutely, yeah. A little bit more to say about that when we get into the show, but stuff like the easy mode that they're hinting at, and some of the things that are talking directly to your point about not everybody is a programmer, that or shouldn't be, shouldn't have to be. We saw a lot of interesting things. One of the other categories of things I'd lumped together here is seeing expanded audio, native audio in video clips with lip sync already built in, things like VO3 and Sora 2 and LTX and some other models too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of where would I say that particular element lies? I guess that for me falls into one of those categories of like, but here's what didn't happen in 2025. Was none of that became so great that you saw longer than 3 minutes of it, right? None of that worked, and it was just not to poo-poo it. I'm hopefully somewhere through the course of this conversation, I can really like channel I just think all of these are just tools.
Yes.
And the more we're hoping they do everything, I think the longer you'll have to wait.
1000%. We heard early on the kind of desire for the first AI film to be made, which to me, as soon as I heard that, was like, I get it, but why? There is no need to make everything with AI. There is a need to make something that's good, and that should be first.
Yeah, let's put that in the category of things that did not happen in 2025. There was no good all AI film.
No,
there was no feature length, at least. There was no good. We had these
bits.
two wonderful. The what?
There was bits in films.
Bits. Yeah. Which it reminded me. I don't know. Like when I was in film school, everything was the Canon Mark V had just come out.
Yeah.
And so all I was seeing was all these incredible cinematographers post their, I used to call them bokeh tests, right? Because it was just how beautiful a bokeh can you get behind whatever your talent is. And like Philip Bloom and these cats would just post these incredible like Los Angeles at night tapestries.
Yeah. Long lens, LA in the background, so it's really far away and it's bright. And just getting this big.
So we saw these incredible camera tests, but you didn't see these people making films. And I'm excited. I think 2026 is the year where people make films. That's one of my, I think I'm bullish on, I mean, I just saw the USC, they have this group called the ETC, which is like Navy SEALs of, the ETC program. So these two wonderful producers. So Eric Weaver, genius beyond. And then the producer he's working with, Sarah Ivy, just to me, the only amazing AI producer. Like she's the only AI producer I've ever met. She and we just did an Allstate commercial together. These two studs came together and I wish I could remember the student's name. The student made this incredible 8-minute AI short film. It's about this fish that wants a better life. It's fantastic. That's the best and longest AI film I've seen, Ed, by far.
I remember seeing it in the Infinity Fest, and I think that's what it was. But Tom T came to our AI course that we run at CG Pro
Oh, cool.
that's still running. He came and
Yep.
did a guest speak and went through that and the processes behind
Oh,
it. And it was very extensive and really dug into the kind of copyright aspects as well as
yeah.
all the technical stuff about how did they
Yeah.
get there. Very cool.
Well,
Yeah.
and
So yeah, to your
you
point,
look at
we're
that team. That was a super team between Weaver,
yeah,
Sarah Ivy, Tom D.
a lot of
Like,
people, a
yeah,
lot of resources, but
a lot of resources. Eight
proves the
minutes long.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, but 8 minutes. Like
Still
to
only
me,
8 minutes long. Yeah.
yeah, still only 8 minutes long. So
Yeah.
let's shoot. I may revise my. Nah, 2026 it'll happen.
26.
One great AI feature film, 2026.
Still that thing of like making an AI film.
Yeah,
I think we'll have like more and more bits of film to the point where we get a full AI film.
for sure.
Because it's a lot when anyone who's getting into it. I've been making AI commercials recently that are 30 seconds long and really taking the team and hard to make. You know, it's hard. It's not
It's
easy.
hard.
That's the other
Oh my
thing that
god.
came up. I think 2025 is
Yeah.
it's not cheap and it's not easy.
It still takes all the talent in the world. The same
Yeah.
producer, Sarah Ivy, I directed an AI Allstate commercial, and Sarah produced it. And Sarah, again, she's just a stud. And it was it was an incredible process. We got to shoot a commercial, an Allstate, the most willing client. So start with the most willing client you've ever had, who knew exactly what they wanted. The brief was an easy brief. They fully understood all the things that were going to have to happen with AI. Because I told them, it was a little bit like virtual production. I was like, I'm gonna build these worlds. We'll turn these worlds into IBLs. We'll pixel map lights. But once I've done this, we can't. There's not a lot of adjustment. Felt like virtual production.
Yeah.
Allstate was
Well, it is.
wonderful. Allstate was wonderful. The athletes who showed up were wonderful. I think the spot comes out on like this probably this week during the bowl games. But like I had I had the good fortune of every single good thing on a commercial. A great client, great producers, willing, understanding, just you name it, and it was still hard, right?
Yeah.
It was still a process. I think it was about a month and a half process.
There you
And that
go.
was with all the best pieces imaginable.
Yeah. Yeah. Project, it continuing to get easier, but
Yeah.
still all of the visual, still all of the decision making in every pixel of the visual, and then
Yeah.
temporarily where all those pixels go for an hour
Oh,
and a half or
yeah.
3 hours if you're gonna
Oh,
3 hours 20 minutes if I'm just about to go see that tonight,
yeah.
that big opus of the next Avatar movie, and I'm going to be seeing it with this lens, because he's the head of one on the board of Stability AI, James Cameron, and looking towards what can it do in that realm, specifically in that zone, because he knows that theatrical cannot support the cost of massive visual effects for every movie anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, and Ed, there's going to be, I'm excited because there's going to be more people who learn. I think part of the problem with, not to get too deep into this, I think part of the problem with AI was it was pitched as there's a button, you hit it, it ingests your script and spits out a movie, right?
yeah,
And so I think that led to a lot of people waiting on AI to go somewhere. And now I think almost everyone's realized that button is a long ways off. And so
yep,
seeing people not just lean into it, but start leaning into like, how do we integrate this into a pipeline? Like it's not AI versus VFX. We're going to have, I was rewatching The Electric State, the Russo brothers' Electric State. And that film is beautiful, but there's so many shots where it's just like random robots walking across a bridge. That's AI. But then you need the one robot who can like hand a drink to Millie Bobby Brown and they can talk for a half hour, consistent characters. Then that's not AI. Like I'm excited for more people to pick that up. I think we'll see a lot of that hybrid filmmaking.
yeah, I'm with you. So next up, hopefully this is still working. I am going to share my screen again because we're going to do a little bit of show and tell as we talk through that. Our theme for the week is next gen filmmakers are ready.
Hey.
Are you? So seeing it through that lens, I definitely want to explore that idea as we go. One of the first things in our news of the week, which is our next segment coming up, is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully this will show it in real time. Wait for it. Any second now. Here it is. So, okay, klaxon. So this is in Comfy. This is the Sharp model from Apple showing their image to Gaussian splat generation, which you can go and get because some lovely person has made this for you, made this available for you as custom nodes. So just really briefly, what this is a Gaussian splat, the big point cloud that's photographic 3D is one way to look at it if you're not in the space already. But probably most people heard about Gaussian splats. This is a simple, comfy workflow with a few nodes, loading up the Sharp model, and then loading an image, which just happens to be our CG Pro Christmas card, and then turning it into a Gaussian splat over here. And inside Comfy, you can see there is the Gaussian splat viewer, which shows a reasonable version of the splat. But there it is. Very quickly generated. I generated that just now, which is why I thought maybe the stream would have stopped because I was generating on the same machine I'm streaming from, which is one of my rules I'm not supposed to break. So yeah, pretty cool.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I want Gaussian splats is one of those things where I'm like, I want 2026 to also be the year. Like I love them. I have a loose understanding of where they're useful. Yep. But I feel like it'll be stuff like this that'll actually make it a little more, it'll help integrate it into the public consciousness and public conversation.
It's pretty good. You can see like the 3D-ness of the candles there and how specific it's been with them. Obviously, like people will say, well, there's bits missing in it. And yeah, there's other models that have kind of taken a crack at trying to make that fill in the gaps, if you like, and I'll show a couple of them in a second. Spatial AI and World Labs, Marble. There's a couple of places that are trying to address that. But I mean, just simply
Quinn's layering system, right? Like if you were to use like that sort of it'll come. That's great.
I think the place this is going to be really interesting moving forward is obviously virtual production, being able to make photographic backgrounds much more quickly and easily using photography, which is where good photorealism comes from. It comes from photography. This is photographic as a source. It ends up photographic 3D, but also being able to recompose and then use this as an input layer for generative AI and various virtual production elements. But I think being able to take this and recompose your camera or even animate your camera in the 3D space, because still camera in AI is not really there. We're not looking for a slider to solve that problem. If we're a cinematographer, we're looking for a virtual production solution that you can hold a real camera. And I think this will start to expose some of that capability. So I'm pretty excited about Gaussian splats. And this is generative Gaussian splatting. This is not, this is from a single image. This is not from multi-image. I'm sure they will, like others, will bring multi-image. And as I say that, perhaps what I can do is bring up this window here. So there's a couple more examples that are probably going to eat my machine and make me regret doing this instantly. But this one, we have the spatial AI. This is a Gaussian splat generator. I'm on the wait list, don't have access to it yet, but this allows you to be able to create Gaussian splats. We're currently looking at one that is in the browser. It's probably going to run pretty slow because I'm live streaming at the same time, but I can sort of move left and right in here and very clunkily show you that it is a 3D space.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And there's one or two of those. There's one from Spatial, and the other one that famously appeared was Marble. That seems to run a little faster in my browser for some reason. But there we've got another 3D space. There's the stuff that's missing. Don't look behind the wall. They're still building it.
Such a neat. These are the kind of things that I think actually might save LED volume virtual production.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that process is pretty cool in certain ways, but it's just always been hamstrung by the fact that you need a virtual VAD, and you need a huge VAD, you need a huge art department. And then also, at least, for me on the commercial side, is like trying to get clients to understand, like, no, you have to completely agree to this 3 weeks ahead of the shoot, because, you have to do your homework before you come into class. Like, just no one wants to do that. But I think being able to do stuff like this, to be able to sort of prompt and generate a little bit closer to on the fly, create those locations, like just now when you went around the corner, if that around that corner is where you want to be, then let's go render out just that corner then and cut to the talent walking into that shot. Like, I feel like these are the kind of things that could really, make LED volume kind of sexy again.
Yeah, it's certainly being able to generate things more quickly. I think we'll see more editing capabilities of these too, so that if it needs some work, you can. There are already a few things that are quite good at doing that. Super Splat, as an example. There's you can now work with them through G-splats in Houdini, as another example. But that is coming, definitely.
That's great.
So the some of the year review, because we're only on the 2nd of January, is happening right now. There's some examples of things that were made. There's I think those are the ones I wanted to share in terms of generative AI. Another one that I thought was pretty cool was Comfy Cloud. The ability to do Comfy. I know that you're a big local guy, as am I, but one thing that I know for sure is that most, especially students, who tend not to have as powerful of a local machine, to be able to explore some of the very heavy processing that is out there, being able to do it in the cloud relatively inexpensively is kind of cool. And running Comfy in the cloud was always RunPod or some of the other service providers, but Comfy came out their own last year.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, and that to me is like I think the other win there is you'll start to see where the Comfy Cloud starts to intersect a little bit more with like the base tools of Runway, where again, for whatever reason, people see the nodes and they freak out and tell me it's like, it's always like, Prof B, I'm not technical. I'm not technical. And I'm like, oh no, we're only going to drag a few of these. You're going to load a couple. Please don't sweat it. It's not technical. But still somehow the nodes, the spaghetti, it kind of gets people. So I think this stuff existing on the cloud, this stuff also, having sort of prefab workflows, it'll be huge.
It's getting a lot more comfy in here. I think that they still have a way to go, but just in the template section in here, which is in cloud or on your local. This particular one came from the Tripo 3D model, which is really cool. Yeah. That now runs natively in Comfy, although this morning it wouldn't run for me, but I've run it through its own website. This makes amazing 3D models, and there's relatively few nodes. You could also have a technical artist set this up in here, and if you want to create it, you can just see a simpler version of it.
Yeah, it's great.
Just by collapsing it into a simpler subgraph or whatever.
Yep.
But
that's awesome.
It's definitely improving. They also came out with their Nodes 2. So if you flip that little switch, it all kind of goes wrong at the moment. They are working on it. But currently there's a bunch of things that don't totally work yet. So if you want to help them make it better, which I do, check that out, flip that on. You can kind of see where it's promising to go. And in it just looking more comfy, I guess, is probably the right word for it. They also changed their pricing model so that cloud is now you can actually, and functionally, you can upload LoRa's now. You have to go to Civit, you have to put them onto Civit AI, but you can use your own LoRa's
That's great.
finally in Comfy Cloud.
Is it
And
running kind of a bridge between Civit and Comfy Cloud, or you download it and then re-upload it?
I think because it's in cloud, it has to pull it across. So it has to pull the LoRa across to Comfy Cloud to run it.
Okay. Nice.
I think.
Let me get
And with LoRa's, they're not usually so huge that that's going to be too much of a problem. But
yeah.
with models, it'll be interesting because those can be like 20 gigs. You might have to wait for a minute. But that can be the case with even with Comfy Cloud and models, because they have to run. They have to kind of download the model into the machine that it's running on. They don't necessarily have all the models on every machine, so there is some essence of that, I guess. But some interesting stuff that happened in the Comfy and Node space, I guess, being able to control your workflows.
Yeah, that's up at the top for me, Ed, of for all students, for everyone who's past tinkering, start finding your way to Comfy. That's been a big deal for me because I do think it's like, man, I love the speed and ease of things like, VO on your phone, or, or just being able to do things like, you'll be I had a production designer I was working with, and we had to create this futuristic space-based, like as though NASA had created an ice chest for Mountain Dew. And we're just standing there, and he just took his phone and he was like, "Are you thinking like, kind of like this?" And the ability to do it on the fly is fantastic. But sooner or later, Comfy does exactly this. Comfy goes to the cloud as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like everyone should start working out how to take control of their own workflows. I think that's a really big thing for 2026.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there is a lot of work that people do that doesn't necessarily need it, but there is where you do want to get to those levers. You want to be able to have that fine grained control. Weavy was another one I thought was really, really amazing. I think a lot of people see anything that's not Comfy as not exposing those abilities, not being able to do some of those things. But Weavy is probably the next closest one, in my opinion, to being able to do some of those things. Weavy has the ability to do control nets and LoRa's and things like that in a much simpler interface in a lot of ways, and processes it on the cloud. And if you buy credits for it, you get credits applied across all models, so you don't have to have subscriptions to everything. I've been a huge fan of this one in this past year. Just as an example here, there you go, import LoRa. So it's not just the basics; it is some of the more advanced stuff. And there's more. There's custom models in here. There's being able to do 3D video, 2D imagery, and also there's control net stuff. So control nets for flux and various things like that. You can feed in control inputs in Weavy.
That's great.
I'm a huge fan of this one too.
I should check it out. It's one of those things that I kind of dismissed maybe 8 or 9 months ago, I guess. I just kind of breezed past it. And now, just the minute you say control nets, that's a big conversation for me with all my students, is like, at some point you have to find a way to take control. Whether it's the camera, the character, the scene, you got to take control somewhere. So I'm big on trying to get everyone onto control nets. And we used Move AI. Like, I think there's so many new simple mocap systems as well, that like those plus control nets plus something like this are like, they're just waiting for the right filmmaker to go off and do their thing.
Yeah, well, they're out there having a go at it.
I will.
We're slowly training them as fast as we can.
It's great,
and you are too.
Ed. So, where do you see the greatest friction when you're training people?
That's a great question. The greatest friction in getting people up and running, well, with people who've already come to us, they're already enrolling on a course, so they're not there's not so much friction there in terms of the is it okay to do this? Is it ethics, copyright, etc. They're already here saying that those things are important, and we teach those things. It's very important to be real about those things. But there's one friction point could be that. What could be, is it okay to do? Then the next one can be the cost in terms of time and compute. So compute, as we were just talking with the cloud, you can access somebody's H100s or A6000s for relatively affordable prices now. If to own one can still cost you 10 grand for a graphics card, but you can rent the ability to do that. So some of that, as what we teach, is we teach Comfy Cloud and Weavy, and some of the ways we can show people that they can access this type of generation or compute without having to buy the hardware for it. When we teach and have taught a lot for the last 5 years Unreal Engine, which requires a significant graphics processing locally, and we also did that through virtual machines so that people could rent that compute, but it was a lot harder to do that. With this, I think those are some of the things that are eroding at the friction points, but still the biggest friction, I think, to me, is going back to what we said earlier, which is that it's hard. It's not easy to do. And one of the biggest friction points for any student that we've taught, regardless of whether it's CG or AI, or it's all kind of the same to me, it's all computers making imagery. But one of the biggest friction points has been to somebody having success at something, which I think is what we're alluding to. Number one is the person clear enough about what they're trying to succeed at? If they are not, then they just try everything and they still are getting closer, maybe a bit, but they're not sure about where they're going. And that makes it much harder to get there. They're also sometimes not sure where they are, which is the other thing that makes it hard to get somewhere. You've got to know where you are, you have to know where you're going, and then you have to have a mentor that's going to guide you between those 2 points, which is what we do. The biggest friction point, I think, that I see beyond somebody not being clear enough with what specifically they want to get out of the thing at the other end, is that they underestimate how much effort it takes to get good at something. And that is the first thing that we instill, is the grit component, because it is just as present with this technology as it's always been, if not more. This works more like simulation, which requires incredible patience and the ability to change one thing and try something and then wait and see whether it worked or not. Change one thing the second time, don't change it. But everybody rushes in of like, I want to make it quick, I'll change 10 things, and then not know why it doesn't work. So having patience, determination, grit, a good work ethic, I think those are the biggest frictions I see.
That's great, man. Those are great. By the way, I had never thought of it from the perspective of patience or grit, but you're absolutely right. Like to me, that one of the biggest stumbling blocks I see, one of the biggest stumbling blocks I see is like AI students get started and then the result still sucks. Right. They're like, but I used, name it. I used Kling, or I used Higgsfield, or I used Runway, or I used all of them on Free Pick.
Why isn't it amazing?
Why does it still suck? And then on the flip side, anytime anyone does create anything, they have to start their film with like over 80,000 videos were generated, 200 were chosen. Like, you're right. Like there's something to that that's beyond just being a finisher. It's actually patience. It's yeah. I also try and remind my class that like there's $1 trillion of marketing telling you will be great right away. Like when they come to me and they're like, I thought I'd be more like this and look a little more. And I was prompting, in the style of Roger Deakins. Why does it not look like Roger Deakins? And I try and remind them like there's $1 trillion from, OpenAI and Microsoft and everybody telling you this thing is one button away from being great. And then, you have to go through the realization.
Well, and to your point about Roger, Roger Deakins doesn't look like Roger Deakins
No.
without him putting a tremendous amount of effort in each
Yeah.
time he makes something and iterating on it and making a whole
Yeah.
bunch of stuff that isn't right and experimenting.
Well, also, by the way, Roger Deakins is a company called Roger Deakins, right? His gaffer, his electrician, his first AC, his operator, his wife. Like Roger Deakins is a company called Roger. It was one of my biggest, I think Andy and I were joking about this the other day. It was one of my biggest, most upsetting moments was when Guillermo del Toro said, fuck AI.
Mm.
Because for me, like I worked for Guillermo del Toro. So did Andy. We worked at Murata.
Yeah, that's right.
Fuck Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro has been using AI his entire life.
Yeah.
It was just called other people. So he would come, whether it was Murata, Motion Theory, Bleak House, he would come to these groups of artists and say, like, I want the spine of the Pacific Rim Jaeger. When you put it in, I want it to activate that Mexican body horror that I grew up with. And then groups of artists would go off and start sketching things and showing them to him. And I'd be animating his boardmatics and showing it. Like I didn't show it to Guillermo, but Guillermo del Toro's been using AI for fucking ever. It was just called other people. And so I think that's another thing that's kind of challenging about the AI process now is that each one of these students or persons or filmmakers, you are trying to do a lot more alone than I think you should, right? Like I think in a perfect world, Ed would be the director and Ben would be Ed's AI production designer. And we would have an AI cinema. Like, I still think spreading those things out, like just because it's a tool doesn't mean you have to use it all yourself, if that makes sense. Like
No,
you
well,
you shouldn't have to.
it assumes that everybody is director level, which
Oh,
they're not usually, and
oh,
they're because that person is the responsible and supervisory person for all of those disciplines. But
yeah.
there's a reason why they have a DP and a VFX supervisor and a animation supervisor or any other kind of supervisor, script supervisor under them,
Yeah.
because each of those things takes mastery to get good at. And it's
Yeah.
very hard to be good at all of them. The director is usually not good at all of the things that they supervise, but they have that. I love the fireworks. That's awesome. That they are really good at what they should be good at is discerning whether all of those people or processes are getting the thing that they're making to its goal, which is a thing. The story has a goal. They are thinking, is this doing the job it needs to? Is it making a person feel a certain way? Is it communicating a certain idea? Everything that they look at is that with that critical faculty, and not everybody has that. Not everybody. That's a hard thing to learn because there's a lot going on there. You have to be sophisticated visually and with story, and if you're in a VFX world, get sophisticated at understanding how that works, how the people work in that world, what language are they using. You have to know all the languages at least, and I think it assumes that everybody is going to be good at all those things. Most of the people in VFX have got good at serving bits of films, but not how to make a whole entire film. It's really hard. It's very, very hard to make a whole big film.
I joke about this, but I think it's more true than not, is as a director, I am qualified for no other position on set. I am not qualified to be an operator, to be a cinematographer. Like I can fiddle with a camera, I can randomly capture a cool image, but like I at best I'm either a director or I'm a PA. There's nothing in between that I can do. And in fact, even down to you were mentioning sort of having this visual sensitivity, this taste. I'm a huge believer in taste is one of the biggest things you need to bring, your perspective, your vision, your taste. But I as a commercial director, and again, one of the luckiest bastards you've ever known, I think a big part of my life is there's always a producer 6 weeks after I've shot something saying, now Ben, we're gonna put this on air. I think there's a whole component whenever you're bored, like finishing. I think finishing is actually the rarest trait in filmmaking. And like you said, like we all ride tangential. I remember when, I was a nuke operator, like I was tangential to all this filmmaking in that I would get the dailies and I would, start comping things together. But but I would always, I'd always be yelling about why'd they shoot it this way? Why'd you leave the food truck in the scene? You could have just driven the food truck out. Why would you? And you realize like, oh, they were up against time, or they couldn't find the keys to
Yeah.
the truck, or like there's all these things that I realized, even though I was tangential to the footage, I didn't actually understand.
No.
And all of that to me comes down to the hardest trait to pick up, which is finishing.
Yeah.
I think it's why you and I have seen so many incredible, I'll call them camera tests of AI, so many incredible shots, or someone, took the face of one of the Planet of the Apes monkeys and does like a 30-second monologue with it, and that's it. I think we're seeing this because one of the hardest attributes to find is someone who can finish something. And then, this next part is all Ira Glass. Have you ever heard Ira Glass talk about on storytelling?
Oh, I don't know, but yeah, go
It,
ahead.
it
Yeah.
no, if you get bored, it is 4 parts. It's on YouTube. Ira Glass on storytelling, and he talks about the gap where he explains, like, if you're in, in his case it's radio, but for us it's film and television. He goes, if you're in this industry, you're in it because you've always had taste. You were always the kid in your neighborhood who knew the most about Stanley Kubrick. You were always the one who had taste, and you knew what went into a good film. You could see a good film and be like, that's a great film, and here's why. And he
Yeah.
goes, and then you go off to make your first film and it sucks.
Hmm.
And he goes, and that at that point is where almost everyone falls off.
Yeah.
Because you thought for sure you'd be great because you've watched enough YouTube critiques of great film. You assume you know what it takes to make a great film. And it's none of those things. And you
No.
suck, and then you quit. And it was wonderful because Ira plays his first radio podcast, and then forget the language, but he then just shit talks over it the whole time about why am I saying this? Why am I doing that? But to me, one of the hardest things is finishing. I just
Yeah.
think it's the toughest.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to unpack in that. It it really, really is very difficult to make to finish something, for sure. One, you have to know when it's good. You also have to know all the other factors, like when are you running out of resources? Are there people on that, figuring out whether you should move on, or like sometimes people put things out they don't want to. They just like don't have any more time for that. It's got to go. It's got to go out. We have to finish this thing. Means like, do you know how you can make it really incredibly look incredible, like a James Cameron Avatar, where it's constantly pushing what's possible to
Yep.
achieve visually, whereas he's been at that top of that. But I've had the fortune of being in some of those spaces with the Lion King and the Jungle Book moments where they were
Yeah.
pushing the bar visually in terms of what's possible. You have to have someone who's got the vision, like a Favreau or Adam Valdez, to know that we could do a bit better than that, and it's worth going that distance, or even just that it's possible and it's been done before. Like that takes a lot of sophistication, and you can't just wander into that. It's hard. Though
Yeah.
the difficulty in, I think finishing it is a great way of putting that. It's very, very, very easy. It's easy to one prompt your way to a great technical demo, which is what we've seen a lot of through this the hype phase of AI. And I'm very excited about the medium, because I got into this thing because I wanted to make imaginary things come to life. That's why I got into this in the first place. I have learned very hard things like Houdini and Maya to be able to express those, and they take years to learn. And I'm okay to let go of the complexity because I care about making cool stuff. First and foremost, before the tool. And this is again a tool, and we're seeing, like every tool advance we saw with VR, so many tech demos happen, and still very few people telling full stories in VR. And this tool set definitely needs that. But also I think with this, it's possible. It's not like VR. Like you can make a bit of a movie in AI and make the rest of it in other ways, and it doesn't matter. In VR, if you're making a movie in VR, you have to make the whole thing in VR.
Yep.
So to me, it's not important that we make an entire AI movie.
No.
It's not at all, in fact.
The
The only thing it's important for is to help progress the technology,
yeah
if it
yeah
helps.
that to me is like the full stop. The sort of the big, if I and I was about to say if I could teach my students anything, but it's also I have to keep trying to re-internalize this, right? Which is that, just like getting these things done, being I've directed over 260 commercials. There's
Well,
maybe 14 on my website, which I think speaks to sort of, there's still failures. Even last year in 2025, after like 7 years of directing, I was just on the wrong side of the 180 line, and not only did I not catch it, the rest of the team didn't catch, and you just realize you're always going to make mistakes. But I think the ability to get out there, lean into this, God, even you mentioned Houdini is like, I, Houdini is one of the categories I sort of worry about Houdini operators. Cause I think, there's been they were always the alchemists who were sort of working with this technology. You could, as someone who used Nuke, who used Maya, like I didn't even know, you know, I didn't even know how to run a simulation in Houdini. I couldn't even bang around on the keys well enough to get a sim to run. And now I think Houdini ops are going to be up against the category of like, is this AI smoke good enough? Is this AI tornado good enough? Like, and I think that'll be a challenge.
yeah, yeah. Again, I think it all comes back to the control aspect.
Yeah.
If you need the absolute control, then you're going to go to something that's got a lot more levers, and it could be comfy. And there's also I was going to share one more real quick thing, seeing as you mention it, and I have it open on my computer. Here it is. Here's Houdini, and Raphael Drelish is, I think, doing a talk about this right now. He made, and his team made, a comfy Houdini bridge. So
Right.
this is actually like comfy UI running inside COPS, which is the new revamped compositing framework in Houdini.
It's
So you
great.
can kind of bring those. The courses we teach are all about three sort of main aspects of AI. One is the easy text field model world where it's simple and it's fast and it's powerful but lacks control. The next one is the depth, the comfy UI, the weavy, the place where you have to go find those nodes that are so annoying. And then the third is to the integration aspect. So integrating it with VFX tools or VFX processes as a VFX process. There's a place where it integrates. Coming back to our topic du jour, the next gen filmmakers that are ready, are you subject? What are you seeing from maybe two perspectives? One being people who've already been in this space, like me and you, been visual effects artists. We've already soaked up all of this knowledge and learned a lot of stuff, and many do not want to relearn or have to go learn some other stuff. There's that whole group of we've already been doing this, and then there's the new people who you and I both work with in schools, who are learning and trying to jump out into this world. What skill sets? Because those two groups now have things in common. They are both having to learn new things. One of those groups does not have to learn all of the things that the VFX people already learned.
Yeah.
They have an advantage in some ways, but they have a disadvantage, which is that they've already learned a bunch of stuff.
Oh man, it's so hard. Yeah, it's
skill sets. What skill sets do we need?
So I'll start kind of high level. If you like, I call it the four F's. I think there are four F's to the next generation of filmmaking. Number one is flexibility. And so this is why I worry about like Houdini ops or anyone who's been working in a single technology for over 20 years, where whether or not there were evolutions to that particular software, they never got out of that one software for 20 years. And it's not just Houdini. There's incredible Maya ops. There's incredible people in C4D. I'm like, I just, part of the challenge to me is like, this isn't a technical challenge. This is a personal challenge. It's just, do you have that growth mindset, and do you have the flexibility to now get out of that and get into something new, to get into something new that you suck at, right? To
Yeah.
get into something new
Because
that
you're
like
going to.
you're, you're like, I can't stress it enough. Well, we'll talk about how much Ben sucks in a second.
We all suck. It's okay.
Yeah. But it's like Ben sucks a lot. Like well, we'll talk about it. That'll be the new title of this whole thing. Ben sucks a lot.
Ben sucks a lot. That's the title of the episode now.
I love it. It's going to trend. So that flexibility is, to me, one of the biggest things. Is like you have to be able to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be able to suck. You have to be able to put your money where your mouth is. I think you and I know this. Is like, how many people, I'm sure at some point you were working at like Digital Domain or NPC, or how many people around you were there because they were filmmakers waiting to happen? They were about to become, okay. So like that, to me, it's like,
I think a lot of people like the idea of it, including myself.
Oh yeah,
like the idea of being that, but actually doing that, it's a very hard job that not many people are good at, and not many people would actually like either.
Oh my God, Ed, I know someone who will remain nameless, but I joke about this with them, and I would joke about it if they were here. They have the name of their first film tattooed across their back, but they have not written the script for it. So it reminds me of that Pablo Picasso comment of like, I know so many artists who are willing to die for their art, but not willing to learn to draw for it. And I think this is that moment. I think now there are fewer excuses, there are fewer impediments. Just now, when you showed how like Comfy will run inside of Houdini, is like, because I've been saying like, oh, as soon as Comfy runs reliably inside of Nuke, then I'll go ahead. Like, but I should have done that a long time. Like even I run into this all the time. So I think flexibility is one component. Number two is facets. I do think we all have to become multifaceted now, which sucks, by the way. Again, I think a lot of these things suck. I think we've all had wonderful lives, made wonderful livings, met incredible people. We've been very fortunate to have lived this life where like for at least 20, 25 years, most of this tech didn't change. But now I think you have to be multifaceted. I do think you have to think one level above what you're doing right now and one level below what you're doing right now. I get asked all the time, who in the process do you think will become the best AI directors? And I'm almost certain it's editors. Because if you think about it, they were always the people who were like getting the footage. They were forced to hit a deadline. They knew what kind of needed to be there. They're used to sitting at a table and finishing things. Like, I think editors are really primed to become the next great AI directors.
They're in the story space, the shot breakdown of a giant idea, which is like, if you're a programmer, very few people are. The software architect is a director in that world, and you're basically taking a giant idea, breaking it down to lots and lots of tiny little things that need to get done, which is, you're a VFX artist, you're doing one of those things. You're a junior programmer, you're doing one of those things, and you don't know what the big picture is. So 1,000% to that. And not everybody wants to or is good at stepping up to that level.
And it's got to be again, it's got to be exhausting, but the minute you step in, you will also fail at it. And you know, and I was just thinking about, there was a Roger Deakins was on a podcast, and he was just kind of talking about this one shot and why is it there and why is it so long, and he mentioned like it might be there and be that long because it distracted you for long enough that you weren't tracking that these other 4 shots, we didn't capture them on the day, and we didn't want to go back out for reshoots. And so, I think editors are problem solvers. I think they're storytellers. I think they're used to sitting at a machine with an impending deadline. They're used to finishing things. I'd
add one extra category to it, which is storyboard or story artists, because they kind of do that at the beginning very often with the director.
You and I'll bet you beers. You and I'm going to bet you beers, Ed. It will never be a storyboard artist.
Because
I love it. I love it in theory. They're too far ahead of the process. They're too ivory tower. It's too like, let me try. I could try this. Yeah, visually they can tell a story, And then and don't get me wrong, I love storyboard artists. Absolutely love them. There are three that I work with repeatedly. I would not exist without them.
Yeah.
In fact, shout out Charles Raderay. Charles and I, 20 projects this year, maybe more. God bless them. They are not finishers.
I see. Yeah.
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 It was never in their wheelhouse to finish. And God bless them. I'm gonna catch flack from my storyboard friends, but that's all right. I would say this to their face.
Maybe some of them.
Yeah. And again, yeah, exactly. Like there will always be the random offshoot. There will be a first AC. But I just mean as a whole, I think they've lived the most luxurious life. If you're good, at some point this year, you worked for Marvel at $1,400 a day. You could draw anything you wanted. It might or might not show up on screen. You weren't responsible. There's a huge gap the minute but anyhow, sorry. But
so editor is finisher, and for that point alone, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could see like compositors maybe kind of being in there, and storyboard artists will be somewhere in there. But I just, as a whole, I think, well, everything I'm going to talk about is something personal rather than a technology, which is kind of neat, right? Like I'm sure you're there too, where it's like, oh, is it Nano Banana? Is it Quinn 3? Like everyone's always asking, like, who's the best? I think the other neat thing about predicting for 2026 is the year it doesn't matter. This is absolutely the year it doesn't matter. Everyone will have their Nano Banana. Everyone will have, like anyone who can run.
You mean the model advantage?
Yeah. I think the model advantage, I think Sora had a great model advantage, just, given that it ripped YouTube. I think certain groups had a huge model advantage, but I think that'll go away in 2026. And we'll all be everything will be kind of a level playing field. And then it'll just be like, who's doing what with what. But yeah, so that
flexibility, facets,
friends,
network.
don't die doing this. Don't, like you and I touched on it earlier. I truly believe, actually, I think it's one of the greatest myths of filmmaking that we all talk about David Fincher, and none of us talk about anyone under David Fincher, right? David Fincher doesn't even talk about who was Janusz the DP on this, was Roger, David just talks about David. So we all talk about David. But like these great directors, they're all teams of people called Denis Villeneuve, David Fincher, etc. Friends. I think you have to go into this with a team mentality. I think you have to go into it not alone. I think, by the way, because I think that will also help with the fourth F, which is obviously finishing. I think it will also help with the finishing, that you are working with a team, that problems you run into, there are other solutions, there are other great minds. There's someone else there to be like, hey, Ed, don't worry about it. I was rereading Walter Murch's In the Blink of an Eye. And he was just talking about, I guess, at some point during Apocalypse Now, there's a camera boat they're supposed to be alone on the river, and this camera boat pulls into the scene and it realizes it's in camera and backs out. So Murch orders an optical blow up. They do a blow up of the scene, and producer comes in storming, who the F ordered a blow up? No one, I'm not paying for a blow up, and Murch is like, no, we had to, because you could see the camera boat. That's an error. And then the producer lays out, he goes, hey, if the film is good enough, no one's looking in the bottom left corner for the camera boat, right? If the film's good enough, all eyes are right here. He makes a bet. Of course, the producer's right. But I always think about, like, it's not just that particular moment in time. It's every moment you and I have. We need producers. You need Jackie. We need DPs. We need operators. I need an editor to be like, no, don't go reshoot that. Even in AI, don't go reprompt that. Don't go comfy that. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this quick close up. I'm going to run it backwards so it looks like, I got you. So I think friends is massive. I think being able to find that team that you can do it with. And then clearly, number 4, the biggest, is just finishing. I think I can't believe we don't talk about it more, that no one's finishing longer form, great AI content. Like we just don't talk about it. And I know probably some of the reason why is A, it's not cool. B, it doesn't go with the big social narrative. And then C, I think there's $1 trillion of marketing that's telling you, no, AI is going to solve everything. But no one's finishing. No one's putting their ass on the line for a story with AI. Like, so I think those, to me, those are the four big F's, and they're separate from technology. I would, I'm a big fan of Comfy. I would say the more you can get under the hood and sort of understand what's happening, the more you'll work out how you're going to make your film, which will make it faster, which will make it easier, which will help you finish it. But yeah, I think the biggest components to AI filmmaking have almost nothing to do with technology.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that for sure. I think the biggest components of filmmaking should be what they've always been, which is it a story that's worth telling, and are you telling it in the right way? You telling it well.
Yeah. Do you get people to have feelings anywhere along it?
Yeah.
I
built my whole career on trying to get good at servicing the bits of films that are the VFX moments, the places where you need them. And sometimes that's used for things where you've no idea that's in there, like a screen replacement or remove that boat, don't blow it up and crop, but paint it out or whatever you're going to do. Those kinds of things that people take for granted. But yeah, putting any tool first, I think there's so much of AI that's wandering in conversationally, like CG became just before it. There was that weird narrative around CG that you probably noticed, which was and is continuing and is sort of now lockstep with the AI pushback, which is like the no CG movement or the anti-CG movement. It's like, what the conversation there, which was kind of ridiculous and included directors that you've mentioned on this show, people talking about trying to be against it because it sort of makes them significant, as opposed to the fact that it's actually real or true.
And it was so hard because it was Nico and the Corridor Digital boys, right? And so between them, Freddie Wong, like those are all the people we came up on. Those were all the sort of independent VFX driven filmmakers that we came up on. So for Sam and Nico to be doing like VFX artists react to VFX that sucks, it's like, well, fuck. Now that you're sort of a couple layers up, you're going to pull up the ladder and bitch about bad VFX, but like all of your early stuff had bad VFX. It was it was cool that you were doing it yourself, and I loved it and you loved it. And every one of Freddie Wong's muzzle flashes was terrible, but I loved them. I loved the films he made. They were funny, interesting, always had a twist. Same with Corridor Digital. It's like that. Sorry, this will be a quick rant, but I feel like this is the other problem I'm seeing right now is, we're all getting really skilled at critique.
Yeah.
We're all like, like you can watch 8 hours on YouTube about, you can just watch a ton of critique on why things suck. And I find that, again, because it hampers finishing, it hampers filmmakers being able to put something out, that they've watched more about critique than they have about how to celebrate just being done with something. I find it kind of a lamentation of sort of, modern film culture right now is we're all great critics. Everyone's a killer critic right now.
There's good reason for that.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. It's super easy, and it's lazy and it's also not in some lights. There's some great examples of that spring to mind when you talk about that. But now there's infinite instant distribution. Everybody can be one. Before it was harder to be one. Now we've all got our own publishing tools. Everybody can be one, and it's quick, easy content to just talk about something somebody else did or repurpose what somebody else did, because making an original thing's hard. And you're also putting yourself out there, putting yourself in the gladiatorial arena to get picked down by the entire world. You have to have such a thick skin or be very good at ignoring everything to weather through that. It's easy. It's super easy. When I worked with John Favreau on Lion King, he had just come off the press junket from London for Chef, which is about that. Basically, it's like it's a bit about somebody expressing the idea of wanting to make their own thing when they're in this big sort of machine world where they're told what to do and they want to break off and make something. So him making that movie chef was him breaking off from the Hollywood world, but he expressed it through a metaphor in restaurants and chefs. And the film's about a critic, and it's like the critic in that, he's like, what do? You just write shit down. You just make shit up. Like, I've watched it quite a few times. You're just and it hurts. And that is like what he's trying to talk about. Like, it's really him and his team in the kitchen. It's very hard to do what they do. It's very easy to just write something that's casual without thinking through all the problems that those people have done. Like you were saying before with filmmaking, you don't think about all the stuff that people have gone through to leave the boat in or rush past the thing, whatever.
That's,
you shouldn't have to, but also,
yeah, that's
why,
one of my.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's all it comes down to, really, is just way easier to be a critic. It's way harder to make something. And if I was to wrap this up, which I think we probably should, I would recommend to people to jump in and make stuff this year. And I am committed to doing that myself, even though I've had very little time in my recent life to do it. I'm doing it right now. I'm making a film myself right now.
Oh, great.
I'd encourage people to make things, and more people that made things would have more appreciation for those that do, and prevent them from criticizing as much. I think is a great opportunity for people to be able to do it. And for those to find out, some of whom to find out that maybe they don't want to make things as well. And that's okay too, but at least they understood what it took.
And to find that out about yourself, I think that'd be a fantastic thing in 2026. It's just like, get in there, tinker with it. By the way, it's funny, every time you mention Lion King, I always think about John Brennan. And that's another thing, which is like putting yourself in, not just the third F of Friends, but putting yourself in that space where you're surrounded. Like, I think John Brennan is one of the most creative, collaborative, intelligent human beings in our business. And I think the more you can kind of surround yourself with those like-minded people, that's also a huge win.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he won the VES award for being in the hot seat as one person on Jungle Book, one or two. Now those teams are 10 plus, and like he's now in the AI realm looking at this edge, because that's where he belongs and where he loves being. But it's being with those people has been such a privilege to me, to be able to be in those rooms and work with people of that caliber, to see what does a world-class filmmaker or technologist or artist of any sort, how do they show up? That's one of the most important things, to your point of the sort of grit and flexibility, is how do they show up? Most of the ones I've seen, and I love it when I'm with them because they make me show up the best version of myself. They show up with positivity, with productivity, with determination, with flexibility, with grit, with a thick skin, and being willing to fail over and over again with a group of other people, in front of other people. It's awesome. Well, Ben, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank Jackie for me. This was truly awesome. Jackie. Oh, she's right there. Oh, thank you, Jackie.
Yes. Yep. This was absolutely awesome. Thank you. And I look forward to doing more again soon, I hope.
Yeah, and call me on the film stuff. If there's anywhere I can help, I'm always here.
For sure. Yeah, I will do. I'll take you up on that for sure. Awesome. Thank you also to our audience for being here today. I wish all of you a very happy new year, and happy new year to you as well, Ben, and happy new year to Andy, our co-host, and happy new year, Jackie. I hope for everybody that you have the new year that you want and the one you're working for. And I say that specifically to our previous point, which is, if you want it, you've got to put the work in. You have to. It's not going to come to you. This is a typical time of resolution where people wish for things, and that 99.9% of that will go straight in the trash in about 7 days, apparently, is the statistical average for New Year's resolution failure. So what does it take? It takes all the things that we've just been talking about. So I wish for you the 2026 that you are working for, and I hope that comes true for you. If you put the time in and you want some help, come see CG Pro. We'll help you all the way. And we look forward to seeing you on another show. We'll be back in next week with another podcast, and a couple of weeks with another show. Thank you all. Have a great 2026. Keep
Happy
making
2026.
things.
All
Stay
right, see you,
awesome.
brother.